Paul George and him aren't going to play a lot tonight. I'm putting my money on Lou.
Money's on Lou.
We're keeping it.
I'm so sorry.
Just gonna have to cut that and just in general cut that clip.
Yeah, he's right.
It is February 3rd, episode 21 of The Take is coming away next. Super Bowl week, Super Bowl 55 this Sunday. Mahomes, Brady, Chiefs, Bucks. It's going to be a great matchup at Raymond James in Tampa Bay. First time that any team will be at their home stadium in a Super Bowl. To the MLB, Nolan Arenado traded to the Cardinals for a bag of balls and a tee. The Rockies obviously don't give a crap about putting a winning product, and they are absolutely fine giving away one of the best talents in baseball. We'll give you our bets for the Super Bowl. We'll talk some WandaVision. Christian is behind the camera as always. The Weekend halftime show. Save your tears for another day. It will all be next on The Take. Friday night, Cardinals, they bump up their lineup. They trade for Nolan Arenado. Rockies, he's rumored to have been wanting out of Colorado, trying to get a trade. I know the Rockies were reaching out to New York Mets early this offseason. They wanted to get a deal with the Mets going after Steve Cohen bought the team. They thought, all right, hey, if we can get them in, we'll probably get some solid assets. They need a third baseman, one that's defensive, strong defensively with JD Davis, not being a negative defensive run save type of player, and also being arguably the best third baseman in baseball. Mets did not, when they traded for Lindor, you kind of thought, all right, that's kaput. And now all of a sudden the Cardinals, they get him this past Friday for literally nothing. Rockies gave the Cardinals $50 million from that contract to get rid of their best player on their team. There is something wrong here. Nolan Arenado is a perennial MVP baseball player, year in and year out. So you give the Cardinals $50 million. You give the Cardinals 5 prospects that aren't even top 15 ranked in their farm system. And then this whole contract has to be figured out. Like they're switching the opt-out years. The Cardinals are giving him an extra year and $15 million more dollars. I don't know. This contract was always interesting to me with Arenado, even with Colorado, because at some point you had to think, all right, after this season, is he going to opt out? This is if let's say he was still in Colorado. All right, is he going to opt out? He hasn't had better years since his contract, so you're thinking, all right, will he get the money that he's already locked in for? So you're thinking, all right, if he opts in, he's locking himself up long term with the money. If you opt out, you want to leave Colorado, but you're probably not going to get as much. So he forced his way out of Colorado. Essentially, Colorado said, all right, that's we're moving on from this. And then they're trying to say that they're not rebuilding, and they're not, this is not a rebuild. This is just kind of moving pieces around. Trevor Story is a free agent after this year. He's gone. And then the GM and the owner said, you know what, I really, it was a mistake to get rid of DJ LeMahieu. 2 years ago, the offseason they signed with the Yankees, they signed Daniel Murphy 2 for $24, the same exact contract that the Yankees signed LeMahieu for a month and a half prior to LeMahieu signing. So why didn't you bring LeMahieu back in general? The Rockies organization, their front office, are absolutely brain dead, clueless human beings. The fact that you let this type of talent walk like that. People were annoyed that the Mets, they stole Lindor and Carrasco from the Indians. Then you got this. Cardinals didn't give up any major league talent, and they were given money to get rid of to take on Arenado. In other news, and I feel like the more and more these stories are trickling out, we're gonna see these these blankets unfold. You had the Jared Porter story that me and Vinny chatted about a few weeks ago, and another big story reported by The Athletic, Jeff Passan, Ken Rosenthal, former Mets manager Mickey Callaway, sexual harassing women over the course of his career, essentially, over the course of him being the pitching coach for the Indians, him being the manager of the Mets, and now being the manager of the Angels, the pitching coach of the Angels. Angels suspended him because he denied all wrongdoing, so can't be fired. He denied it of investigations to go down, so he's only suspended right now. This motherfucker is going to be canned in the next 2 weeks. And as much as it pisses me off now because the headline is former Mets manager. The story has him in the Mets uniform, whatever. This motherfucker was hired by the old ownership, by the Wilpons, by Fred, by Jebba. This cannot be a Steve Cohen Mets issue. But overall, this is a industry issue. This is an MLB issue. Something that Vinny and I said a few weeks ago. There needs to be more in this hiring process. There needs to be more people involved. And the big reason is that not many women are in that right of power. But now it's time to do your due diligence to talk to more people in the industry, to talk to the other gender, to talk to females in this industry and ask, what have you seen from this character? As soon as Mickey got hired as the manager in the spring training, the female reporter said that while she was interviewing him, he steered his, man-spreaded and steered his crotch into this woman's direction and face. And she said, I knew that this is how it was going to be while he was in the Mets uniform, being the manager. Shit's sickening. This dude's married, has kids, and he's sending pictures of himself in a hotel bedroom going, oh, if you sleep when you sleep naked, it's healthier for your skin. You're a fucking pervert. Like, holy shit. That is disgusting. Mets hired another piece of shit, it turns out to be. And he's gone now. But here's another thing. The Wilpons knew about this. And they still brought him back to manage in 2019. So go find Fred and Jeff while they're living in their underground cave, hiding from society now that they sold the Mets. Go question them. Go ask them these questions. More and more of these stories, I feel, are going to be coming out. Because, like I said, this is an MLB issue. This is an industry issue. This is a male-dominant, front office sport. Like many professional leagues are. Time to get them. Speak up now. Mickey Callaway, you dumb fuck. They got you. Suspended now. Terminated later. Sunday, 6:30. Super Bowl 55. Brady, Mahomes, Bucks, Chiefs. This is gonna be a good one. Chiefs minus 3.5 or 3, I want to say. This game is going to be down to the final possession. I like the Chiefs here in this game. I think it's because I'm rooting against Tom Brady. That might be, it's the bias in me to go against Tom. But I think the Chiefs right now, Mahomes played great after the concussion he had a few weeks ago. Didn't lose a beat. I'd like to see where that turf toe issue is for him, because he definitely was hobbling a little bit 2 weeks ago against Buffalo. But man, this is without a doubt, maybe not without a doubt, but you can argue it. Kelsey and Tyreek Hill are arguably the best dual receiving threat that we could ever see. Kelsey is not just a tight end; he is a number one receiving target for Pat Mahomes. Tyreek Hill, same thing. One play, make or break with his speed. They're both minus 175 to score a touchdown in this game. Both. Vegas likes both of these guys for obvious reasons. They both have had over 100 yards in the 2 playoff games that they played against Cleveland, against Buffalo. I like Pat to throw the over passing yards as well. I think it's at 320 and a half. I'm just kind of throwing in because the Super Bowl is a big better's day. We can bet game props before kickoff props, joint props. Like other sports get combined into the Super Bowl. I'm a big tails guy. I like betting tails for the coin toss every year. We can bet the national anthem. Is it over, under 100 or 135 seconds? Who knows? Like tails though. Just cuz. Coin toss tails minus 115. I mean, listen, they're both 115. It's kind of all right. Put your money on a side. I think this game, like I said, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be within one score, I think, for almost the entirety of the game. Bucks defense has played very well. Chiefs D played very well against Buffalo a few weeks ago as well. Tom had 3 picks last week. That's a concerning, if you think, a little concerning stat. Rodgers didn't take advantage of the interceptions. I can guarantee Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and this offense will take advantage of turnovers and will be scoring off turnovers. I don't think field goals are going to win this game. I think once you're in the red zone, you have to score, especially for Tampa Bay. Tom Brady has to score when he's in the red zone. Like the Bucks, here's the crazy thing. We will never see this from, I don't think, any quarterback ever again. Tom Brady is without a doubt the most impressive quarterback, the most impressive performer in this sport. Without a doubt. So if Tom and Tampa Bay, if they do win, if you ever root against Tom, you're at this point, it's just kind of holy shit. Like, I'm watching history. I'm watching something that will not be repeated. If Mahomes wins this weekend, he'll have 2 at the age of 25. This man, he will have a shot with this framework, with this Chiefs team, with Andy Reid, with this dynasty. This team is, if they win on Sunday, this will be their dynasty time frame. And they'll have a shot to 3-peat next year. As long as Mahomes is under center for Kansas City, and he will be for the next decade, the Chiefs are going to be a favorite in the AFC every single year. Both offensive, both defenses. I mean, both sides of the ball for each side have their stars, have their talent. I'm really excited just to see both offensive work against each defense. Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill. You have guys like McCole Hardman as an X factor. Byron Pringle. The run game hasn't really been there for them with Edwards-Helaire's coming back off injury. You have Darrell Williams. Tampa Bay, you got Brady, Evans, Chris Godwin. Tight ends have been playing well. Cameron Brate, Rob Gronkowski has not been the receiving guy like he was with Tom in New England, but he's a threat to get loose. He's been blocking a lot. Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny, has been so good the past 3 games. All on the road. He's been scoring touchdowns left and right. He's gotten over Ronald Jones. I like Fournette in this game, like I've liked him over the past few weeks. Scotty Miller's another guy that I think could have a sneaky good game. Especially, I haven't seen reports. I don't know where Antonio Brown is for this game. I don't know if he is still questionable. If he has, I don't think he's been ruled out for this game yet. I don't think he'll be, if he is ruled out, probably not until Friday or Saturday. If Antonio Brown is out again, look for Scotty Miller. He had the big end of the first half touchdown against Green Bay when they screwed up their coverage. I think him and Johnson, the rookie, Tyler Johnson, 2 targets that I think Brady does like. He's got a lot of ways to go in this game. I want to say I like the over. I want to say it's going to be high scoring. Todd Bowles is going to send. I'd like to see, because we know Bowles' defense with Tampa Bay. He likes to send the blitz. I want to see how much under pressure Mahomes is going to be, how much time he's going to have to throw the football. If it's going to be him having to scramble out of the pocket, especially with the turf toe issue. You know, he was hobbling a few weeks ago. I'm trying to come up with a score. Eric's behind the camera. What do you think?
Final score?
Yeah, I'm trying to put together. I mean, this game could go one or two ways. This could be shootout, like 38 to 34.
I think it's going to be 34-27. I think they're going to win by 1 score.
Kansas City or Tampa Bay. See, Eric likes Tampa in this game. Again, I don't blame him at all. I mean,
I'm a lifelong Jet fan, but I'm not going to bet against Tommy.
So we've seen this story too many times.
Could be an overtime win too. It's very possible.
If we see another Super Bowl going to OT, that'd be pretty cool. Not that I don't think it really means much, but it's just like kind of like coincidence. The one team Tom couldn't beat, obviously, was the Giants, and that defense was ran by none other than Steve Spagnuolo, and that's the Chiefs' defensive coordinator. So I think there is not even like an edge, but there is that familiarity with Tom and knowing how he plays and how he sees the field. Again, Tampa Bay's got more weapons than I think Tom ever had in New England in any year. Doesn't matter if it was Gronk, Randy Moss, Edelman, Welker, James White. This dude has Evans and Godwin, Evans is top 10, Godwin, honestly, I would say both, you have 2 top 10 wide receivers. And you have a run game that you have established with Fournette and Rojo. And Cameron Brate's been a very good surprise. He's been the more popular tight end than Gronkowski's been. I'm taking the Chiefs solely because I want to see them win. Like I said, this could be a final field goal, time expires type of game. I'm going to take Kansas City 34-31. That only equals a push to that bet also. It's going to be that close of a game. Weekend, halftime show. He has to follow up the magnificent J-Lo and Shakira of last year.
Ooh. Yeah.
We've had some pretty good halftime shows the past few years.
Forget about Missy.
Right. I think the last, I don't know, Maroon 5 was a few years ago.
Didn't Lil Wayne come out for one? Am I making that up?
Recently? I don't know.
Nothing of-
No.
Forget I said anything.
What are the odds that he comes out in the plastic surgery?
95% sure he's gonna come out.
You think we were to bet on that?
If not the plastic surgery, he'll definitely have his face.
Some other crazy shit, or he'll be dropped out of a helicopter.
I saw
Or
you
taken
dancing in
ambulance.
another room.
Uh,
If he gets driven on the field in an ambulance, coming off a stretcher to the stage, I will go online. I'll go live on Instagram, and I will scream.
Only if it's an ambulance.
Only if it's an ambulance and he comes out in a stretcher.
Okay. Another bet.
Big gambling
Yeah.
weekend, guys.
I would say big gambling weekend. Gamble responsibly, please. We are talking WandaVision. Episode 4. Spoiler warning, spoiler alert. If you have not watched episode 4, stop watching. You can close YouTube.
But then watch it and come back.
But then watch it and then join the conversation.
Yeah, give us those views.
Give us the
Maybe like the video too.
like the video,
Also subscribe.
subscribe to the channel,
Yeah, why not?
get our time duration up, come back and watch the episode. All right. Well, the show's picking up. Let's just say that. We are now. I mean, this entire episode, besides like maybe 5 or 10 seconds, was all wide frame.
Yeah.
It was real world reality out of Westview. We kind of got all of our behind the camera questions answered from episodes 1 through 3.
We get the beginning little horror scene of Monica snapping back.
Right, that's another thing. We got the scene of Monica returning from the blip. And dude, that's terrifying.
Absolutely horrifying. Also, the CGI when she
comes back.
That's the
bro.
craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And I was like, it wasn't like that ashy flake from the movies when they left.
Yeah.
It was like
her body.
yeah, like was bringing like, I don't know. It was cool. Like the close up of
skin.
yeah, the close up of her body coming back in the hospital room was very cool. But dude, like this hospital literally went chaotically into shit.
Oh yeah.
Like they're just showing us like that, like people that were in hospital beds returning and being like what the fuck?
My phone. I gotta call my wife. She like runs into that doctor.
Yeah, this guy literally reappears and she decks him to the ground.
Yeah.
So obviously this gives more perspective of the true timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is, I would say this is like a week after
I want to say
Endgame. Then
yes. I want to say episode 4 takes place roughly like 3 weeks after Endgame. And it's before Spider-Man: Far From Home.
right, because Far From Home is a few months at right. It was like 8 months later.
Something. Like
It was right, but it was like same. It was like within the year.
Yeah.
Far From Home.
Yeah. I low-key, I think in Spider-Man: Far From Home, Magneto. Lol.
Man.
What's his name? I'm gonna say my fist on him. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Says Mysterio.
Yeah.
He says people can believe something like this would happen because he tells the world that he's from a different reality.
Right.
So I feel like this leads into that in some way.
Okay.
Because why would people believe in multiple realities when nothing has actually given them reason
To believe.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Whereas now, after this, I'm assuming people will find out about Westview and the town that's happening.
Okay.
These radio waves. And they'll be
Gotcha.
like, oh shit, okay, there actually is like another reality. And maybe that is that connection. I don't know.
Yeah. I would say so. Like things got answered. We know who was behind the television at the end of episode 1. We know who the beekeeper was. We know what that helicopter was. I think what's interesting is that so everyone who's outside of Westview right now, I mean, we had returns. Kat Dennings came back.
Randall Park too.
Yeah,
Dude.
she she was in Thor Dark
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Okay, but the last one, yeah, she was the last scene in the second one. Officer Wu comes back from Ant-Man and the little Easter egg. He finally gets he gets the card flip, the close up magic.
Yeah.
It's funny because the actor says like you can only assume that he didn't get snapped because he was probably by himself learning this magic trick. That's what he said. Really he's like, I definitely didn't get snapped because like, how would I have learned the magic trick
for 5 years?
Right, I'm just going like by myself in my house. No, but so we see all these kind of like, not even like secondary, like I don't know what's another word for like even further on second, like all these like little minor characters coming together, crossing over and trying to solve this. So
I really don't like Kat Dennings, bro.
Do you think there's too much like in that one episode there was just so much like forced comedy?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to? I meant the chips.
I meant the chips. Barf. We got a little clown car going here. Oh, okay. You're the team leader. Shut the fuck up. Everything you need to say doesn't have to be snarky. We get it. Like I don't know.
Wait. What was the? Blah blah blah. But like, isn't he dead? Nothing's weird, but like, isn't he dead? Talking about Vision, like okay.
I like her. Like I like her in the Thor movies. I like her in Two Broke Girls.
Two Broke Girls, very funny show.
She's just very one note in this episode. This episode has really cool reveals. The end with Vision, his body being dead.
Right.
And we can go more into that. But this episode is just a lot of exposition. And the dialogue is also all exposition. They're talking about the CMBR, the cosmic microwave.
Right, like this is the radiation from like the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Like that's...
She's like, oh, I'm getting a lot of CMBR. What's that? Oh, cosmic radiation, 2 minutes later, oh, yeah, wait, so what is this? Oh, this is a lot of CMBR. And then the guy she just told what CMBR is, he literally goes, oh, yeah, that's the radiation since the Big Bang.
And that's the head of S.W.O.R.D. right now.
Yes.
And I think he's a fucker. That guy's going to be a fucker because I think there is a reason, like, he's not telling Monica truth. Like, I think he's bending the truth a little bit.
Okay.
Like, there's no reason he should be in charge right now.
Well, and I think he knows that too.
So, and he knows, and I think that he thought that she was never going to, like, obviously, that the people that were snapped were never going to come back.
Yes.
And he was like, oh, like, all right, I'm set, I'm good. So, like, she's a threat to him.
Yeah.
And
low-key, I feel like when she tries to swipe and they're like, your card doesn't work, you're not working here, I feel like that was his way of being like, yeah, like, what's up?
Yep.
I'm big man.
Yep.
You're nothing.
I remember I watched something. A little plug. Do you watch New Rockstars?
Every once in a while.
So, like, I watched they do a breakdown of each episode.
Yes.
So episode 4 of New Rockstar, it was very good. So he was kind of saying that this was kind of like he could have totally gone up to her before she did that and been like, oh hey, like I got you, but like he wanted her to feel like she was an outside, and be like, oh, you don't have you know who this is? Oh, okay, let me help you out. Yeah, fucking rat.
Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely way more to S.W.O.R.D. going on. Monica has been up to some shit with S.W.O.R.D. because they say that they're keeping her terrestrial. So she's clearly had some stories where she is
like a loose cannon. Right.
Doing shit kind of like Captain Marvel, I'm assuming. I want to know more of that. I don't think we'll get that in the show. That'll probably come from like the S.W.O.R.D. show or the Nick Fury show. But I think there's way more to S.W.O.R.D. than this show is letting on. This is also our first introduction to them, so like.
Right. So I was saying this episode like answered like the very small things from the beginning, like the first 3 episodes, and then it brought up even deeper questions. Like
Yeah.
when Monica shows up and meets Wu for the first time, and like these cops are like, this place doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like either the cops are brainwashed in like their own way, that they're like, oh, like we're from Eastview. Eastview is the real place. This is not real.
Yeah, like does Eastview even exist?
That's what I'm like.
Is Westview? I'm assuming Westview is not a real place in New Jersey. Is it?
Oh, I don't think.
I'm looking.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That just doesn't make sense to me. And then obviously Wu is there to find a missing person.
Yes.
That's got to be connected with someone who is inside Westview right now, because the characters that Wanda, like when we go into like the television show of Wanda, they have real names.
Yeah.
Like the boss and the wife.
Yes.
Like Kitty from that 70s show, like
He's
she's
done
the
a
wife.
lot of things too.
But like those aren't like the heart. Like their last name like were the Hearts.
Yes.
That's like right. Like that's like not their real name. They're like, oh, like they're being played by blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then they don't reveal the real name of Agnes. They don't reveal.
They don't have a license.
Right. They don't reveal the real name of the blonde chick.
My question is...
Blippy Boppy and her whatever. I don't know what her name. What's her name?
I don't know her name, but I know what you're talking about.
And then.
But here, how do they have? And this is just a continuity thing. How do they have all of their licenses? Wouldn't all of their stuff be in Westview?
Oh, I mean, but I'm sure like they could go on like. They can go and find files. I don't think it was an actual copy of it though.
Oh no, it was like. They had like legitimate license plates there. I mean,
like
driver's licenses there. It could have just been a fucking scam.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I missed that.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't have Agnes. Agnes, right? Agatha. Agnes.
No, her name's Agnes in the show, but yeah. I think it obviously the next step is.
Yeah, they don't have her, so that's clearly a little something going on there.
And Blippy Boop.
And Blippy Boop.
The blonde woman. I think the. So Agnes, no, what's her name? Blippy Boop.
Betty?
I don't know.
I'll get it.
Anyway,
continue.
But she's like, oh, what did she say? Do these earrings make me look fat?
Yeah.
And then like it went, and then like the power went out, and the husband was like, oh, thank God. Like he didn't have to answer the question or something. I thought that was funny though.
What I will say. Going back, I think this episode is cool, especially the end, and we can touch on that next, I guess. But it literally puts every single question that the audience has asked and puts it on screen. Like Randall Park, Officer Wu is literally writing every single question that we have.
Right, and I think that was cool. Like that's like what I think that's the whole point. Like they want us to have the same connection as the people that are outside this bubble of Westview. Like they
both on the same page.
Exactly. We want to have the same angle, I guess.
But I feel like that kind of this is a deeper, more philosophical question of film, but if you're putting all of the questions that you are asking on
literally on screen.
Yeah, literally on camera, there's no critical thinking element to that, and I don't know, it just feels very like you're fist feeding me information that I should be figuring out myself.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Obviously, you think they're like, oh, well, like these are all the questions the audience have right now for sure. But so like, let's just throw it in. Yeah, exactly. Let's just throw it in and be like, oh wow, that's what they're thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's stupid.
Whereas if you didn't if somebody didn't have one of those questions, like if they didn't think of those questions and later on one of those questions is answered, I'm sure they'd be like, oh, shit,
right. Right.
I don't know. But going to Vision being dead, that's a very nuts reveal.
My brothers doesn't believe it still.
That he's dead?
No, like I told him, I was like, I think Wanda took his physical dead body.
Yeah.
And like that's
she's just reanimating him in the bubble.
Right, in her mind. And he's like, no.
So there is...
But I thought that there was like not so much confirmed theories, but like that's like the most logical. He's asking, he's like, well, like He's like, well, how would she have gotten his body?
So there is a deleted scene from Endgame.
She goes back.
Yeah, and she goes back.
Right.
And they took it out because Feige was like, no, like we can't
Reveal that.
I have to take it out. I'm assuming we'll probably see that. There's a shot in the promo for 5, or maybe it was the leaked one for 6. Spoilers, possible spoilers, where she's like in this room, and there's like a whole bunch of like fucking like drawers, and it kind of looks like it could be a morgue because they're just like it's just like an entire wall.
Gotcha.
So I could see her going in and doing that. I think the biggest tell though is in the promos for episode 5 or 6. I think it might be 6. Because they put out like a 2-piece, like a mid-season promo.
Yeah.
There's a shot of Vision walking up to the bubble and trying to exit. And then there's a shot of him outside of the bubble, and he's like on his knees, like Christ, literally just like looking up. And when he's outside of the bubble, it looks like he's falling. That's why he's going to his knees. But you can also see the indent on his forehead.
Interesting.
When he's outside of the bubble. So I'm assuming as soon as he leaves that bubble,
he's dead again.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, to that point, everything that happens widescreen in this show is MCU reality.
Right, like it's like that is things that are that you are able to look back in and look on the timeline.
Yes.
Right, like it's
So everything that's widescreen is happening in the MCU reality. Everything that's in the 4x3 is on the television show WandaVision.
Exactly.
That alternate reality.
Right.
And
that is being watched by the people in the MCU reality. Yes.
And at the end of this episode, before they show the dead Vision, Kat Dennings is she's watching the show, and keeps seeing the cuts that we've been seeing.
Right, like we see Wanda rewinding it, but the people watching the show are just seeing a skip.
Yeah, it's just a hard cut. So, and it happens with Bonnie or whatever the fuck the blonde chick's name.
Maybe it is Bonnie. No, it's not Bonnie.
I think it is a B though.
Oh, it's definitely a B. I wouldn't be calling her Bippity Bop.
But yeah, Beverly. No, not Beverly. Whatever. Yeah, she cuts her hand, and on the television, it just hard cuts to normalcy.
Right. Because that's when Wu comes in with the radio. Wanda, what's happening? What are you doing?
Yes. At the end, right before they show Wanda shooting Monica Rambeau out of the reality.
Dottie. It's not even a B. Bibbidi Bob Dotty Dot.
Dottie Body.
Okay, that's it. Yep.
When they cut to that, it's 4:3, and then it starts to go wide. And when she shoots her out of the 4 walls, and rebuilds it, that's all in wide. And Vision, when he's dead, that is also all in wide. And then the camera cuts away back to Elizabeth Olsen. Then it goes back to Vision, and he's normal. So I think that's right. Tell.
Yeah, like, and we touched on it last week. There's that still, like Wanda's in control, but she doesn't know Vision spoke to Agnes outside of the house. So that's going to be a big piece, and I think that's what could be answered on Friday. Like how what does Vision know? Is he in this world? Can he think for himself? Things like that, which we saw I guess the promo for either 5 or 6. When he goes up to Agnes in the car, he like awakens her.
Yeah.
He touches her and she's like
a mind wipe.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering what that does.
Yeah, like he could be the key to opening. Yeah, that's interesting. But then I would assume that he does have some sense of what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a conscience in this world.
Some type of conscience.
That's what I think. That's what I think too.
But
because he knows something's wrong. Like he knows something's wrong when he goes back in the house.
Yes.
He's like, "Where's Monica?" Like they just I know you don't know that I know that they just told me that she doesn't have a home here.
Yeah.
Like she's not from here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming she's probably giving him some type of consciousness, but also there's a limit to that, and there's like a barrier that is holding him out. I don't know. There's a shot, and I think it'll go even more into this because I'm assuming Wanda will be the enemy of this show.
Yeah, I think she's the villain.
There's a shot where somebody's walking up to the wall of the bubble, and they're like blacked out, they're blurred out. It's like a shadow, but they're carrying something, and it looks like Wanda. So maybe she's. I don't know, but I'm assuming she's gonna go and confront Randall Park and Kat Dennings and whatnot. And Kat Dennings will probably say something snarky in the same monotone voice, and I'll cry to myself. Great actress, though. Great actress.
Yeah, very good though. Yeah, I mean there were some leaks to episode 6, and I don't really want to get into that here. And I was hoping it might connect to Quicksilver, which I think it might.
Talking about the Evan Peters thing?
Yeah, but I was like, I don't even want to go into that spoiler or not, but like I think just the fact that Pedro was mentioned in this show, and like Monica like knew, and like Wanda was like obviously upset about it, and the new chapter, I guess, going to the comics, that's what's gonna happen. Like, are her children real, or like are they not? Like, I want to know, possibly, maybe, does her brother make a little cameo in it? That was something that I was thinking about wanting, just because he wasn't mentioned or talked about since Ultron until like that moment. So,
look, I don't think we're gonna see Quicksilver. I think there's gonna be something more to that.
The biggest thing that I believe the show's gonna come out of, I think it's gonna introduce X-Men.
I really hope so.
Into the MCU.
Really
That's my overarching, like, I hope this brings up the talk about the mutants.
Yeah.
And then goes into maybe we find out who's the villain, and then that goes into Doctor Strange too.
Yeah.
Because that's how the timeline is.
And
is looking.
She's also already created mutants with her children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before we end this discussion, obviously for us, what's the timeline of Falcon and Winter Soldier? Is that supposed to be parallel to like what's happening in WandaVision, or is this like we're thinking, oh, this is actually?
That's a good question. I really don't know.
Okay.
I would assume it's probably around this timeline.
Right. Because that's being released on Disney Plus the week after all of WandaVision is released.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. Real quick, I will say I think there's a Fantastic Four Easter egg in this episode. The head of S.W.O.R.D. is talking about how they sent like a group of people out into space and something bad happened.
Yes.
And I think that is a little Easter egg for Fantastic Four, because the movie was announced a couple months ago, and WandaVision was supposed to come out earlier than it did, even though it was actually supposed to come out like this summer. But when it was announced for the beginning of December 2020, they had pushed it because I was assuming they're editing shit to tailor it and make it work with the new Phase 4. But yeah, I think that's our little Easter egg.
Interesting. All right, well, join us next week. Episode 5 is Friday. Super Bowl 55 is Sunday. Tom going for 7.
Lucky number 7.
Pat going for 2. Back to back. We'll see. We'll see you next week. All right, Christian.